pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, everyone's been provided a copy of the minutes. If anyone has any additions or corrections to offer, I'd entertain those. If not, we will let the minutes stand as presented. Mrs. Browning, do you have claims?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve all claims and payrolls as submitted.
I have a motion to approve the claims and payrolls. Do I have a second for that from Mr. Hedrick? Anybody have any questions regarding those? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Okay, no donations. So we're moving into our information report.
Yeah, tonight I would like to introduce our project manager, Mike Holtkamp from Hagerman, who's going to provide the board with an update with our project.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening on the board. Did you pass out a copy?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience. So Hagerman and the Ratio Design team is working on the progressive design build project for the school here. And really the past 30 days, we got on board, we got hired, and we've been getting our design team down here, all of our design team members. We're conducting building walks and site surveys and getting everybody up to speed. We're having meetings with the design committee on a regular basis every 2 weeks. They're currently working to put all of that into what they call a Revit model. So it can all be three-dimensional put together. And some other things that we've worked on, we've had meetings and we're working on a program. So we're trying to understand each building, exactly what occurs in the building, what all the rooms are, the teachers, what they do. And there's a matrix of that our design team is preparing and lets us have facts about what classrooms and what rooms are needed in offices, et cetera. We did have a special meeting with the technology department here to gain, specific information in all of that area, from the kind of cabling to the security cameras, et cetera. And what we're currently doing is continuing with those design options and trying to get those into a manner that there's a cost estimate so informed decisions can be made, educated decisions by the owner design committee and yourself as the board. And we have Landmark Surveying Company doing survey work, so we have accurate information to work from. And the next 30 days, we will continue to refine that design, complete this survey work, and we'll be entering into some geotech, some soil boring, so we know what's underground. And I listed there the financial, and our goal then is the 10/9 date to have our report to you. Any questions? I know it was a lot of information quick. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, we will entertain patron statements, and these patron statements, we have two different times that happens during the meeting. This time it'll be for statements regarding our agenda topics. And who we have signed up for that? Okay. And this would be
That's the
non-agenda. Okay. All right. So we do have one signed up. I'm going to read off. We have kind of a script of how those statements are to be handled. This is something we read anytime we have patron statements. So patrons who wish to address the board in regard to specific agenda items may do so during this time. Comments are limited to the specific agenda items only. Patrons wishing to address the board on items that are not specific to the items on this evening's agenda will do so later in the meeting. We will not discuss in open session any individual school student or school employee or descriptions of such people which leave little doubt as to the identity of these people. This is a time for the public to provide their comment and for the board to listen to you carefully. Patrons are welcome to schedule an appointment with Mr. Frank, Superintendent of Schools, and/or myself to further discuss any concerns expressed during public comment but no response will be given during the public comment period. Per board policy, each patron comment is limited to 3 minutes, and public comments will be open for up to 30 minutes. It's a lot. So anyway, Luke, if you'd want to come up and just give us your name and address, and you've got your 3 minutes.
Luke Dayton, 4 Kelly Drive here in Washington. Good evening, members of the Washington School Corporation Board and Administration. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here as a parent and advocate urging the corporation to consider approving transfer students to Washingtonville Elementary School, particularly in light of the current circumstances and statutory guidance. As I understand it, per Indiana Code 20-36-11-32, each school corporation must annually determine and establish the number of transfer students the school corporation has the capacity to accept in each grade level. In recent discussions, it was noted that this year the corporation is experiencing lower than average kindergarten enrollment, and more specifically that of Washingtonville kindergarten class currently has the lowest enrollment across the district. This suggests there is ample room to accept additional students into that building, an opportunity we hope you will act on. I also understand the topic of the district-wide policy for out-of-district transfers is on the agenda. I hope you'll take into consideration some of the points that I share this evening as part of your deliberation. During the previous conversations, several concerns were raised. First, transportation. We understand and fully accept that families requesting an out-of-district transfer to Washingtonville Elementary may be required to provide their own transportation to and from school each day. This is a fair and reasonable condition and one we are prepared to meet without reservation. Second, the concept of a lottery system for transfer request was discussed during the recent public works session, along with the point that historically very few, if any, students have requested a transfer to Beale. That may be true, but only reinforces how rare and reasonable such a request is, as outlined in Indiana Code 20-36-11-32. If the number of applicants exceeds the available capacity, transfers must be approved through a public verifiable random selection process. We are more than willing to take our chances within a transparent and fair lottery system. Lastly, I'd like to address the concerns shared among some of the administrators regarding students attending Washingtonville Elementary for only a few years before transitioning into one of the grade level buildings. Respectfully, isn't that the very structure already in place for students throughout the district? All of our elementary schools serve students for a limited number of years before they progress to the next stage of their education. This is not disruption, this is the natural course of the system. As parents, we are making a conscious and informed decision for our daughter, Valerie Dayton, to give her the best foundation possible. We believe that Washingtonville Elementary is uniquely positioned to provide that foundation. We also want to emphasize that we are choosing public education over private alternatives because we value being active participants and advocates in our daughter's learning journey. We deeply appreciate that you are giving me this opportunity to speak and be heard. I sincerely thank the board and administration for your time, your consideration, and for your dedication to the families and students you serve. I would be doing a disservice to my daughter if I did not speak tonight. And so once more, I ask for your thoughtful consideration of this request, not only on behalf of our family, but for any others that may come forward with similar hopes in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so that was the only one for that. So at this time, we'll move into the personnel area of our meeting. Start out with no retirements, so resignations.
Resignations, recommending the board accept the following resignations. Alexis Freeman, high school English teacher. Tiffany Wally, elementary teacher. Morgan Dillon, elementary teacher. Mackenzie Price, junior high social studies teacher. Olivia Stoll, elementary teacher. Casey Ward, bus driver. Christian LaFollette, elementary teacher. Rachel Graber, elementary teacher. And Alejandra Davila, junior high E&L teacher.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the listed resignations. Does anyone have any questions regarding those? If not, do I have a motion to approve that? Mr. Elmer, second from Mr. Miller. All in favor of approval? Raise your right hand. 7-0. Okay, if we don't have any leaves, appointments.
I'm gonna read the very last one.
Yes, since it's one.
Okay. So we have the following, I'm recommending the following individuals to be employed with the given position. Larry Cochran is athletic director to begin July 1st. Jay Wildman is elementary principal to begin July 1st. Krista Baker, elementary teacher. Mackenzie Rourke, elementary teacher. Michelle Russell, elementary teacher. Megan Wright, elementary teacher. Laura Martinez, elementary teacher. Jennifer Barnes, elementary teacher. Scott Griffith to work through his prep period for the 25-26 school year. Peyton Williams as an elementary teacher. Lauren Tresh as a junior high social studies teacher, and Amber Caton as a bus attendant.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the listed appointments. Do I have a motion for that? From Mr. McCormick, second from Mr. Cornelius. Does anybody have any questions or any reason not to approve these all as one? If not, all in favor of approval? 7-0.
We would like to recommend the hire of Mike Mercer on a 1-year contract to be an elementary teacher.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve Mr. Mercer on a 1-year contract. I have a motion for that from Mr. McCormick, second from Mr. Omer. Any questions on Mr. Mercer? We'll say that's a 1-year contract and he will be a teacher at Ville, right?
Mhm.
Correct. Okay. That's the reason for keeping it separate. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? 6-1. Okay, PCA appointments. Would you, Mr. Frank's a bit under the weather, so if it's all right with you all, I'm gonna read this list instead of putting him through it, because it is quite lengthy.
We're going to keep Jason as a separate.
Okay. Yeah, and also we apologize, our internet is cutting in and out, so sometimes his computer's working and sometimes mine, so anyway. Okay, we have the high school football coach, Joe Morris. Assistant football coaches at the high school, David Peel and Jeff Harewood on a split stipend. Austin Stowell and Ben Sloan. Our head freshman and sophomore football coach will be Marcus Thorne and Eric Headley on a split stipend. Our assistant freshman and sophomore football coaches will be Ed Thompson, Barry Hudson, and David Sparks, and those 3 gentlemen will be splitting 2 stipends. Our head 8th grade football coach will be Brandon Garland. 7th grade football coach, Tyler Elsey and Tanner Terry will be splitting the stipend. 8th grade football, we have Matt, oh my gosh, Witham, thank you. Mr. Frank's better at this. Volunteer football, we have Chad Warden and Chad Stoll. Oh, 7th grade football, Daniel Christie, thank you. Okay, our high school, I got them all right.
Did you get Warden in school?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it.
I'm gonna use my finger on this technology. High school head girls volleyball coach, Brett Madison, and assistant volleyball coach, Elizabeth Reed. Our junior high co-head coaches will be Bray Lamar and Kylie Hembry. And we're gonna skip that one. Our head boys tennis coach will be Jason Johnston. Assistant will be Jaden Barley. We have 3 boys tennis volunteers, Shannon Tomey, Matthew Pancake, and Caleb Knepp. Our head high school girls golf coach will be Josh Butcher, and his volunteer will be Haven Lunsford. Head boys soccer coach, Evan Stahl, and JV soccer, Chris Colvin, and assistant high school boys soccer, Edgar Paz. 7th grade boys soccer, Clint Ivy, and 8th grade boys soccer, Austin Girardelli. High school soccer volunteer, Tyler Siebert, and junior high soccer volunteer, Friday 2. Boys soccer volunteer, Dean Lonecker and Ethan Malley. High school girls soccer coach, Madison Lee, JV, Elizabeth Kretsky. Assistant girls soccer, Allison Kriegbaum. 7th grade girls soccer, Donna Gress. 8th grade girls soccer, Austin Bush. Junior high girls soccer volunteer, Nathaniel Rainey. Head cross country coach, Tim Baxter. Head cheer coach, Courtney Memering. Assistant cheer coach, Kelsey Siegel. Weight room, Ben Sloan and Austin Stoll will split the stipend. And our junior high volunteer cross country coach will be Noah Henson. So I have a recommendation to approve all of these ECA appointments. First of all, I should have asked earlier, does anyone have any reason to split these out? Or can we approve them as bulk? All right, so I have a motion to approve those. Motion from Mrs. Browning, a second from Mr. Elmer. All in favor of approval? 7-0. Mr. McCormick. Yeah, and we have one that we broke out on our own. We have a high school volleyball volunteer, Dr. Jason Elmer. So we're going to vote on that with Mr. Elmer. I assume you're going to abstain from that vote? No. You're going to vote no? We're not going to allow that. So I need a motion to approve Mr. Elmer from Mr. McCormick and a second from Mr. Miller. All in favor? 6-0. You're stuck with it. All right. Any other?
No other.
All right. Any old business?
No old business.
New business?
First item on the agenda is the out-of-district student transfer policy. And out-of-district transfer policy refers to what we're setting for receiving students that are coming to us from completely out of the school district. So if we were to take transfers in from Bar Eve or Pike County or North Davies, North or South Knox, those are typically the schools that we sometimes see and get those requests for transfers into the district. That's what this policy is referring to. And so what I'm proposing is that our out-of-district applications will be accepted through the entire 25-26 school year. And for the 25-26 school year, out-of-district transfers will be limited to 20 per grade in K through 6 and 30 per grade in grades 7 through 12. Applicable regulations outlined in Indiana code will be utilized to determine eligibility. There's a process for that when that happens and we have a family that, maybe mom and dad works here in town in Washington. We do have an out-of-district application that they complete. And, we look at things like attendance and discipline and those sorts of things to make determinations if we can accept them or not.
Okay. I have a recommendation to approve the out-of-district student transfer policy as presented. I have a motion for that. Mr. Miller, second from Mr. Cornelius. Anyone have any questions on that policy? If not, all in favor of approval? 7-0. Okay, budget schedule.
Every year we have to have the board pass a proposed budget schedule. As you know, that's a process that really gets going here in the summertime. It's a busy time for Carrie Alford as she leads the way with that. And so, the dates are publicly announced so that our community can be aware and can attend some of the hearings that are part of that process. So the July regular board meeting that we'll have at 7 o'clock on July 17th, we'll notify the board intention to advertise the 2026 budget. August 15th is when we will publicize our bus and CPF plans and budget publication. Those will be posted to the corporation website. And then the bus and CPF plan and the budget form 3 will be posted to Gateway. I'm proposing on September 4th at noon, we'll have our public hearing on the 2026 budget, which also includes the capital projects plan and the school bus replacement plan. And then if we stay on track on September 18th at our regular board meeting at 7 o'clock, we will adopt the 2026 budget, CPF and school bus replacement plan. The next day on September 19th, we will submit the budget to Gateway, submit the bus and CPF resolutions to Gateway.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the proposed schedule of our presenting our budget. I have a motion for that from Mr. Hitter, second from Mrs. Browning. Anyone have any questions on the schedule? Not, all in favor of approval? 7-0. Sodexo Facilities Annual Amendment.
So every year we complete an amendment to the main contract that we have with Sodexo Facilities. Carrie and I met with Graham and the regional Sodexo manager to review. I would describe this as like the base bare minimum increase in terms of what we would look at providing Sodexo to provide just a real basic pay raise. And then they also figure in inflation costs on the supplies that are used to maintain the buildings.
Okay. A recommendation to approve the annual amendment to the Sodexo Facilities agreement. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Miller, second from Mr. McCormick. Want any questions on this? Not all in favor? 7-0. Now the Sodexo Food Service.
Sodexo Food Service annual amendment is what's provided is what I'm recommending. Again, Carrie is heavily involved with that. It's somewhat of a rigorous process because it involves food service, food nutrition people from the state of Indiana that have to review all the documents and the paperwork. And so that process has already occurred where the DOE has seen this and they've given the okay. And so now it just needs to be board approved.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the annual amendment to the food service agreement. I have a motion for that. Mr. Ullman, second from Mr. Headley. Want to have any questions on this amendment? If not, all in favor? 7-0. Surplus and some curricular materials.
Asking for board approval to surplus some curricular materials. These are some additional novels and books related to the outgoing reading series that we've purchased a new program that will replace.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve surplusing of those curricular materials listed. Do I have a motion for that from Mrs. Browning, second from Mr. Hedrick. Want to have any questions on that? All in favor? 7-0. Where are we at?
Kids at Hope.
Kids at Hope.
Asking for board approval to attend the Kids at Hope Masters Institute, the national conference in Arizona in September. Washington Community Schools has been asked to provide a presentation during the conference. We'll also be receiving recognition for our implementation of Kids at Hope. Looking at taking a group that would provide representation from Washington Primary School, Washington Upper, and then also getting a secondary person and our assistant principal, Chris Ashworth. So the attendees would be myself, Chris, Brittany Walls, and Kylie Embry from Upper, and then Randy Browning, Lindsey Gress, and Kristen McGuire from the primary.
All right, I have a recommendation to approve.
And this is all covered through Title II grant funds, which we have to spend on professional development type activities.
Okay. A recommendation to approve the trip to the Kids at Hope conference. To have a motion from Mr. McCormick, second from Mr. Cornelius. Anyone have any questions? Sounds like a good opportunity.
I think that's great to be nationally recognized like that.
Yeah, our Kids at Hope is definitely a bright spot, something we should be very proud of. Thanks to all the teachers and staff that make that happen. All in favor of approval of the trip? 7-0. The basketball shootout.
I have a recommendation to approve the basketball team's overnight trip to the Charlie Youth Shootout, which actually begins, I think, tomorrow. Maybe, I guess it's Saturday and Sunday, yeah. But it will be overnight. This will basically be their conclusion to a busy June, and just need board approval since it's an overnight trip.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the basketball trip to Indianapolis. I have a motion for that from Mr. Hedrick, second from Mr. Miller. Anybody have any questions? Been seeing a lot from that group this summer on social media of what they're doing. Coach Burkhart looks like they've hit the ground running there. So Glad to see him go to this tournament. All in favor of approval? 7-0. Dance camp.
Dance team will be attending the University of Louisville dance camp from July 10th to July 13th. That'll be with our head coach Lily Jones, and Carrie Alford helps with that. And I believe this is the third year they've attended, so they kind of have their routine down on what to expect with camp, but it is out of state and overnight, so they do need board approval.
Okay, a recommendation to approve the dance team trip to camp in Louisville. I have a motion for that. Mr. Miller, second from Mr. Hedrick. If I have any questions on that annual trip, I remember approving this. All in favor of approval? 7-0. All right, and now we're down to the long-term veal plan.
So I'd like to make a recommendation of a long-term plan for Veal Elementary. And, we had a work session here at the beginning of the month and had really nice turnout of community members that communicated well. And so, gave that a lot of thoughts, spoke to some of the board members individually, and have come up with a compromise to the plan that was being talked about at the work session. So I would describe this, it's basically 3 parts. The first part is that Veal Elementary will serve grades K through 4 during the 25-26 school year. Part 2, we will not offer pre-registration for kindergarten at Veal next spring, February, March of 2026. And Veal will serve grades 1 through 4 in 26-27. All of our kindergarten classes for 26-27 will be at Washington Primary. And then part 3 says, as early as the fall of 2027, all Veal Elementary grades will be brought into Washington Primary and Washington Intermediate. The final decision on the timing will be based on the progress completion of the construction, addition, and renovation of Washington Primary and any other factors that may arise. Determination for the grades to move for the start of the 27-28 school year will be made by March 1st, 2027 to provide time for staffing changes and movement of necessary resources like student and staff furniture.
Okay, I have a recommendation to approve the long-term plan for Veal Elementary as presented by Mr. Frank. I have a motion for that. Mr. McCormick, second from Mr. Hedrick. This time we usually ask for questions. Anybody has any questions? I know this has been discussed a lot. I think I would also open this up if any members like to speak to our thoughts or just in general about this vote before we make this vote. It's a significant vote.
All staff can still secure, correct?
Yeah.
It was, we said that at the work session, but I just wanted to reiterate it now.
I'll speak. And this is not a 6-week decision. It's really been talked about for 30+ years. Right, Don? Probably at least that or longer. Really ramped up a couple years ago after the building assessment study and then the community committee. And both of their recommendations unanimously was to repurpose Veal as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. And couldn't do that because there wasn't enough room in the elementary schools. But now with the new project that we have hopefully being completed in 2 years, now we can. And again, like Kevin said, we kind of had a plan, but we had the work session and we heard you guys. We listened, and I think we came to a good compromise. And I will admit, I was a no vote for that one. If we would have had to vote on that, I'd been no vote. But I think now good compromise, and I'm going to support this recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? I think I will. I want to let everyone else have a chance first, but I'll reiterate what Mr. Omer said. This has been on the radar since I got on the board and much longer than that. we've got the opportunity with our building project to do this. We have limited ability to do building projects, but this was something we felt like made sense for the district. You know, there was no malice intended with the suggestion to try and move the kindergarten class this year. It seemed like something that looked fairly logical based on the numbers, but we appreciate the public input. And I think, as Mr. Elmer said, we've come to a good compromise here. Never going to be something that everybody's happy with. That's one of the first things you learn when you get on a school board is you're not going to make everybody happy. It's just not going to happen. But we hope this is something the public can support, and it's a decision that we feel like is best for our kids and best for the financial situation of the district, which is going to be a big topic. We spent an hour meeting about that. You know, our legislature's made a lot of changes that are good for property taxpayers, but they're pretty tough for schools to try and work through. So we're going to occasionally have to make decisions that we don't even like, you know, that just are the things that have to be done to make this work. So this is a step in that process, and we hope you all support it. So if no one has anything else, all in favor of approval, raise your right hand. 7-0. All right. Any other? No other. All right. So now, get my script back out. We've come to the non-agenda topic patron statements. I'm gonna summarize this just a little bit. It's the same deal as before. Yes, sir.
Oh, no, sorry, I had a cramp in my chest.
I thought, did I miss something? Sorry.
I didn't bench press the mistake.
Anyway, so, you know, same rules apply as before. We're not going to talk about any students or employees during this time. You're going to have 3 minutes to speak. We're here to listen. This is not a Q&A session. If you would like to have more time for that, you're welcome to schedule a time with Mr. Frank or myself, and we can go from there. So this time, Michael McKittrick has signed up, and if you would just stand and same deal, give your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes.
Of course. I've got some handouts here that.
Sure.
I like to speak extemporaneously, but since I'm representing a couple of groups, I felt it necessary to read from some notes.
Sure.
I'm Mike McKittrick. I'm a resident of Washington. I live at number 1 Green Acres here in Washington. Thank you for this time to speak with you. My presentation is focused on the relationship between Washington Community Schools and the Powerhouse. First and foremost, the Powerhouse and its director has every right protected under the Constitution to its religious beliefs. This is not an indictment of someone's faith. It is a question of relationship. Discussions about religion can be challenging. Discussions about religion in public schools can be fraught with peril. But I would be a coward of the lowest order if I backed away from the concerns of some of my former students, a few of whom were Powerhouse kids when Nathaniel Rainey was director. These kids felt it was truly a safe haven where they could do homework, talk about their problems, even do a little Bible study if they chose to. Some were TRT kids like Cody Chapman, my former junior high honors science student. I know I'm not supposed to talk about students, but he was a former one. And he's now the junior high principal. I cared about these kids then. I care about them now. I also feel the responsibility to express the worry of friends and neighbors who tell me of their concerns regarding this Powerhouse controversy enveloping our town. One gentleman shared that recently his congregation voted to sever any and all ties with the Powerhouse. Last week, Carol Olson gave a powerful address to the city council in a packed chambers, and now I'm addressing you, the school board, because of what is being perceived as an untenable relationship between Washington Community Schools and the Powerhouse. Some of you know me, some of you don't, so I'm going to provide just a little background. I know something of Washington Community Schools from the inside. I spent 16 of the best years of my life teaching junior high science. I know a little something of the superintendent's role and the school board's responsibilities, as I was a building representative for the Classroom Teachers Association for several years, and then its vice president for a couple more. And I'm pleased to have developed trusting relationships with both superintendents Tom Miller and Bruce Hatton. Now, this town is a tapestry of both denominational and non-denominational faiths. And as some of you, I hope, have already heard on the video Superintendent Frank shared with you, the Powerhouse Director uses scripture to profess his contempt of public schools. I'll get to that in a moment. I do hope that you did watch that video. In your hands are a few of the ideological statements posted on the Powerhouse website, plus the quotes by its director in the Times Herald newspaper. The highlighted passages I will refer to shortly. Last week, I had a meeting with Superintendent Frank and Cody Chapman. In my meeting with Mr. Frank and Cody, I learned that they were acutely aware of the controversy surrounding the Powerhouse and had already had discussions about it. We explored the issue of the Powerhouse presence in the high school, and Cody spoke of the myriad of issues faced by junior high students and their vulnerable, impressionable minds. And we all agreed that counseling is needed for so many kids. Imagine, achieve, master. These are three words that are spread throughout every campus of Washington Community Schools. I interpret these words as challenges filled with hope for every student, boys and girls. Use your imagination toward goals. Use your learning to achieve those goals. Then, with all that you've learned and experienced, be the best you can be and master your achievement. Washington Community Schools applies these three words to all girls and boys. The Powerhouse posting that you have states that it believes in no girl bosses. Other posts have stated feminism has injected its venom into the culture, and that wives must be submissive to their husbands and give up their independence when they get married. If my granddaughter were at the Powerhouse, why would I think she would be afforded the same opportunity as a boy to achieve some position of responsibility over a boy when the Powerhouse director states clearly in the newspaper he does not compromise his beliefs? On the video, you heard the director state it is only as a missionary that a person can work in a public school. By definition, a missionary's role is to propagate a faith amongst people who do not share that faith. The director makes it clear that the public school consists of scoffers. The newspaper quotes him as saying this about the students in his care: "We are navigating deep questions of faith, identity, and life, and will keep doing that with compassion, without compromise." How threatened might a child struggling with gender identity feel if confronted with having to repent their sins should they believe that they might be part of the LGBTQ plus community? A child being welcomed with love, then placed in this kind of position at an after-school program, is a situation this board should consider as long as the Powerhouse advances counseling without compromise. In our meeting, I asked Mr. Frank and Chapman this question: how many 12 to 18-year-olds do you know who can discern this statement? Love the sinner, hate the sin. Again, the Powerhouse, as a private organization, has every right to its beliefs. This is not up for debate. But given its history being an after-school program, it seems its mission is now with missionaries, and it has changed dramatically. Many of us acknowledge the positive impact of the Powerhouse. Under previous leadership, there was an accepted equality between males and females and roles of equal responsibility. Judgment seemed to have left at the door. Because of the director's disdain of those who work in public schools, combined with Powerhouse representative roles as missionaries in our high school, I can't help but think that to the Powerhouse, the high school is simply a missionary post. But do our public schools actually wish to act as a conduit to this counseling from an after-school program acting more as a church? This is similar to our question to the City Council. Do you council members support funding a private organization acting as a church? There's a big difference between the Christian-based YMCA or Feed My Sheep and the Powerhouse. YMCA and Feed My Sheep don't counsel according to scripture, for one thing. Given my great good fortune of being a teacher, I hope you can understand how deeply personalized 4 specific words the director said on this video program. You heard them say not once, but twice. And while it mortifies me to do so, I will say his exact words, not once, but twice, because the people here in attendance should hear them too. And I quote, "Public schools hate God. Public schools hate God." Maybe some board members have already asked yourselves a question similar to this. As a school board, do we need to reassess our relationship with the Powerhouse? Or perhaps you've asked yourself this: we don't need to be in the middle of this controversy, do we? Or maybe you've pondered the more decisive action. As a school board, we need to sever ties with the Powerhouse now and reassess sometime down the road. Regardless, as I expressed to Mr. Frank, the likelihood of the public school piece of this controversy going away is remote unless some kind of action is taken which removes Washington Community Schools from the equation. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. I don't know if you heard me. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate that. All right. At this time, we'll talk about our information items.
Just for July, we have an executive session set for July 17th at 6 o'clock. Then we'll have our regular board meeting on that same day, July 17th at 7 o'clock.
All right. Any other information? All right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring before the board at this time? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Mrs. Browning, the second from Mr. Miller. I hope we all want to go home. All in favor of approval? 7-0. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. See you next week.